Okay, here we go. Here we go. Japan. The Lord is looking at Japan. Since the Americans have refused the request of the king, since the British are also dilly-dallying and not serious about blessing Zimbabwe, we are now going to look at Japan. You see, what the Japanese have, or rather, let me put it this way. Whichever taps that the British closed so that Zimbabwe suffers, Japan can open them for Zimbabwe. Now, God had me thinking that why really are we going over all to all these countries? Do you realize that we ourselves as Zimbabweans, we have got enough capacity to build our own country? By capacity, let me explain to you by capacity what I mean. One of the things that you need from other countries when you establish a country like Zimbabwe, I almost said a new country. Zimbabwe is not a new country. It's a failed state that must be revamped. When you start afresh, the first thing you need is financing. Number two is expertise. Now, we would have gotten financing from the Americans or the British. We would have gotten American or British expertise. Now, God is looking at Japan. At the same time, the Lord got me thinking, while we were talking about Japan, that financing, Africa does not need to be financed by Europe or America or even Japan. Robert Mugabe said in those 2 years, I think it's 2015 to 2017, when 15 billion disappeared from the mining industry. Do you know what happened to that 15 billion? Whoever got it took it to a European bank or to an Asian bank somewhere. Imagine if that 15 billion comes to buy Zimbabwean government bonds. Okay. In my government, here's the thing. I will not ask you a question where you got the money from. If you are a Zimbabwean and you have stolen billions, whether you stole them or you took them or you confiscated them or it's a liberation or war chest, whatever you think it is, I will not ask you where the money comes from. All I would need to do is to buy government bonds. Do you understand? So that we can resuscitate the economy. Zimbabweans on their own, the thing is that we are lacking in our country is trust. So I said two things that you need is financing, expertise, and the third thing that is needed is called trust. And there is trust deficiency in Zimbabwe. That's the reason why we are struggling. We do not trust each other. That is why people steal from each other. In fact, corruption is actually what we call corruption or stealing is a signal that people do not trust each other. If you live in a society where you trust in each other, you do not lock your doors because no one comes to steal. If anyone is hungry, they come to your door and they see it's not locked. They will open the fridge, eat what they need to eat, and leave behind what is left. They will not take everything from the fridge. They will eat and probably leave a note. I'm sorry, so I was here, I ate this. Or whatever. You understand what I'm talking about? Because they will know that if ever I'm hungry, the food is always going to be there. So what we need in Zimbabwe is a cultural change. The mindset change. The change of our mind. How do we think? If we think differently, if we think collectively and not think in terms of corruption, we should ban the use of the word corruption. And while it's at it, we actually stop stealing from each other. We must start following our own rules. You see, the rule of law that the Americans are always talking about, it should be our rule of law, not their rules, but our rules that we make together as a society. Okay, or as leaders who make rules on behalf of society, not just on behalf of the few leaders. I don't like what Thakure and Idi Mnangagwa are doing. This thing of monopolizing everything. it causes a mistrust within the community because nobody will trust Mnangagwa. I do not trust Mnangagwa as a president. I'm sorry. Do you know why? Because him and his friends, it's only about them. That greed, it does not inspire growth in any country. There will be no growth if all you think about is yourself. You understand? We need to open up the Zimbabwean economy. We need to have Zimbabweans and other black foreigners. Let's start with black foreign investors. We'll talk about foreign investors. Let's start with South African blacks, the ANC, the Cyril Ramaphosa, Posas, and all these other guys. They're billionaires. And others were secret billionaires. I mean, they've been at it for too long, since 1994. Where are those millions? That is why I want to create a financial sector in Matabeleland. A banking sector where Africans, black people, or whoever, even white people, can come and bank their billions and they're safe and it's secret. I'll bring secretive banking laws. The old Swiss bank account that was secretive in Zimbabwe, I will open that in Matabeleland. We'll have banks. It will become a financial hub. People will come and park their billions and it will be a secret. No one will know who it is. And there will be no Panama Papers or Pulawa Papers. It will be by law. I will change the law in the country that it's lawful to hide your money in a Zimbabwean bank account, and nobody must know. Not even international people. Well, I sign out of any international treaty that wants my bank to release banking information of my clients. Secretive banking system is a policy that I will implement in my government, because that is the policy that will take a country like mine out of the doldrums. Okay, this sick thing that the Americans say that Russian oligarchs money. There's Russian oligarchs money in Credit Suisse, a French bank, in Lloyd's, in British banks, in JP Morgan and Chase. They are financing mafias themselves. Why should we not? If mafias make money in Mexico, they can bring that money to Zimbabwe. Under my government, I will have them bank and make it a secret. In fact, we don't even ask where the money comes from. Just bring the money. We keep it safe. Okay? You can use any name. If you want to call yourself headphones, yes, the bank account is for headphones. As long as there's the money in there. You see, this thing of America trying to play global police, trying to play, these people who are holier than thou. So they've got sanctions on this and that here. This is drug money. What do you mean is drug money? How about, what do you call it? These days, they've opened up this in town now. They sell in town. How about in town? Is it drug money or what? Okay, so if it's cocaine, what's wrong with cocaine? Is cocaine wrong? It's wrong because the Americans say so. Who are you to say it's wrong? If someone is planting cocoa plant and making cocaine and sniffing coke, who are you to say that they are wrong? Because you see, those are moralistic ideas or values. They become American values. We are not Americans, we are Zimbabweans. We need to find our own identity. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, I'm not saying smoking cocaine is right, but I'm just saying that we need to have our own values. That is true independence. Okay, so that I'm saying that we need to have a secretive banking structure in Zimbabwe. I can deliver that, and any other international obligation. By the way, guys, Zimbabweans, we are not obligated to these international people. Do you realize that? After Golderel showed me that, son, these Americans, they were attacking you when they were giving sanctions to ZANU-PF. It wasn't to ZANU-PF, it was for you Zimbabweans. Therefore, I begin to recognize I'm not obligated to please the Americans. I'm not obligated to please the British. I'm obligated to please my people and myself. As we're pleasing ourselves, we do not need their approval. Neither do we even need the US dollars. Do you know where US dollars come from? From the pigment of their imagination. Jerome Powell wakes up tomorrow morning and says, I want $80 billion in the system. He just writes $80 billion on paper. There it is, it's coin. There it is, there's money there. So why do you want to go to people who imagine money? Why don't we imagine our own money, create them dollars into existence? Alright. Okay, it's more complicated than that, because what is needed in that society is trust. Hence I told you, that the things that we need for a country like Zimbabwe, it's financing, knowledge, and trust. I haven't spoken about the knowledge. I'm gonna get to it. Trust. So once we have got truth, a government that you can trust is a key to any banking industry. Trust and be truthful. If you are a banker, don't lie. All right. If Zimbabweans, let me help you people, Zimbabwe. Let me help you rebuke the British. Oh, let me help you build a country. Let me help you rebuke the Americans and their their sanctions. In fact, if I were the president of Zimbabwe, I wouldn't go to Americans and cry for them to remove me from the sanctions. I wouldn't. I would be laughing. The Bible says, "He who is in heaven laughs when they attack his sons." I will not ask for the sanctions to go. Do you know the reasons why ZANU-PF is asking for sanctions to go? Because we have got trust deficit in the country, we have got knowledge deficit, and we have got financial deficit. Therefore, we want them to remove the sanctions so that we can get our houses and cars and other materials, assets that we have in Europe. We don't need those ones. To understand? We can make new ones. What we need to be working on now, Zimbabweans, is on trust. We need to open our hearts to each other. To understand? And begin to build our country as a one huge family, and not have people that are putting with the Mandevera, Mashona, Roma Zezurua, that is why we're destroyed. Because of thinking along those lines. Now, if you want to think about any ism, let me give you a nice ism. Nationalism. Holy study. You want an ism? Somewhat nationalism is an ism I give you, Zimbabweans. You want to have us and us versus them attitude? Nationalism. Put Zimbabwe first. That is the ism that we shall have. With that ism, with trust, with apparatus for banking structure and understand, and create a commodity trading hub. I'm talking about a Bulawayo Commodities Exchange, whereby we sell our own gold, our own diamonds, our own minerals in our own exchanges, and we sell a currency in our own exchanges. Which African country knows how to sell for currency like the Zimbabwe? Zimbabwe sell currency in the streets. We can trade US dollars, yen, everything in Harare and Bulawayo in financial institutions. For the sake of Africa, we can sell all African resources, okay, all right, minerals, oil. We have our own clearing house in Matabeleland, because I want my Shonaland to be about manufacturing, and I want Matabeleland to be a financial hub. Do you understand? Don't worry about warehousing. Warehousing can be anywhere in the country and anywhere in the whole of Africa. But the trading platform, we put it in Bulawayo. Like the New York Stock Exchange, like the London Stock Exchange. You have our own exchanges in the Bulawayo. That is my plan for Zimbabwe. That is the financial part, and it depends on trust. And you will discover that Zimbabweans, South African, Namibians, Botswana, Angolans, they've got a lot of oil money in Angola. We need to become a safe haven. This is what I'm trying to say. We need to become a safe haven for African people, across Africans, all Africans that are making oil money in Nigeria as a money. They've got a lot of money, those Nigerians. The Nigerians mustn't be making their oil money and taking it in London. USA. Because anytime the USA is angry at Nigeria, they're going to put sanctions on Nigerians, and then they're going to confiscate their money in London. They're going to confiscate their money in New York. They're going to confiscate their money in other global centers of capital. But if they give it to Zimbabwe, Nigerians are black people who are going to speak black language. We understand each other. They keep their money where? In Bulawayo. So we market Bulawayo as a financial hub for secret banking. And I'm going to be the boss of it because I'm the only person who trusts me. I trust myself. Because at the end of the day, banking is about trust. You understand? It's about trust and speaking the truth and not lying. And not lying. All those Nigerian billions, Nigeria sells more than 1 million barrels of oil a day. I want them to bank in Zimbabwe. I want to be their banker. I want to be the Bank of Africa. And then after that, we'll go for the Russians. You see, the Americans have put sanctions on Russia. Now the Russians must know where to keep their money in Zimbabwe. They've taken the Russians out of the SWIFT system. I'm not gonna go any further. Boy, I will destroy the Americans and the British before the sun comes up. They will wish that they never touched the anointed of God in Harare. Do not play. Holy. The brain that God gave me for Zimbabwe, I'm telling you, we will destroy those fools. We don't need them. They can keep the sanctions. Holy is the king. And then the key of knowledge base. Now, the beauty of the sanctions is this thing. In the economic troubles of Zimbabwe in the last 20 years is this. When we suffered in Zimbabwe, our people went all over the world to acquire knowledge. So, using the Zimbabweans in the diaspora with much expertise in different industries, we can rebuild the country. We can build roads, schools, bullet trains, aeroplanes, car manufacturing, light industries, light manufacturing or heavy industry and all that stuff. Because they've got Zimbabweans all over the world that have got that we have been denied access to capital and access to markets because governments there discriminate them on the basis of their color and nationality. But when I am the president of Zimbabwe, I will actually create markets for them on the basis of their color, creed, and nationality. Because there is Zimbabwe, and my government will make sure that you will get a loan. Where will you get the loan from? Because we are a financial hub with what money moves. The money is coming from all over Africa and all over the world. The Russian oligarchs now are being sanctioned by the Americans. It's an opportunity for them to keep their money here in Zimbabwe. You see, another place where they're keeping money now is Dubai. We need to commit to Dubai. You see, Dubai is a very Islamic state. They've got many laws that are necessary. In my country, Russians, come with your billions and come with your Russian models. You can have fun, you can drink. You're not going to be arrested for drinking in the streets. You must relax that drinking law. Public drinking must be fine. It must be allowed. Smoking weed must be allowed. Anybody who want to smoke their things, who will discuss on the drug issue. We will relax on certain things. Because these white people like to party. So all of these white rich Europeans, they must be coming to Zimbabwe to party. Promote our country also as a place of partying. Listen carefully, Zimbabweans. This is an economic strategy that will work. Like Ibiza there in Italy. Bring best DJs. As I told you, if the Russians bank with us, and the Chinese bank with us, and all these billionaires bank with us, they will come. They will come with their girlfriends. They want to eat sushi on their bodies. We don't mind. It's okay. It's your thing. It's boys who come with want to sleep with boys. It's okay. In fact, you must relax those homosexual laws. Allow people to be whoever they are. Okay, LGBTQ rights, give all of them the rights. Okay, create a free society. All right. In fact, women are empowered in Zimbabwe. There's nothing to work on there. Understand? Foreigners, there's